Mitchell Robinson is a beast. Against the Celtics in that first preseason game, it was like watching a man amongst boys. He was running the floor, blocking shots, getting rebounds, dunking the ball, getting putbacks. He was basically the same Mitchell Robinson he was last year, just a little bit more dominant. And in terms of his physique, he looks like he's in the best shape of his entire career. And that can only mean good things for the New York Knicks. ESPN also did their top 100 list, and Mitchell Robinson actually made that list. We're going to see where he fell and if he should have been higher. We're going to break down all of this and so much more today. Let's get started. Mitchell Robinson is in dominant shape. The first preseason game showed us a couple of things, and a couple of Knick players stood out. One of them being Mitchell Robinson. Obviously, you had Emmanuel quickly, and then Jalen Brunson did what he did in basically 6 minutes. So clearly, a lot of these players came to play, and they looked like they wanted to play. But Mitchell Robinson went beast mode from the start. For him, it probably didn't feel like a preseason game. And even though the Celtics were resting players, he didn't care. He went beast mode. This is what Robinson did in 23 minutes. 10 points, 5 of 6 from the field goal, 7 rebounds, which is a team high, 4 offensive rebounds, game high, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. Light work. He didn't even have to work that hard because he was taller than basically everybody on the court at any given time. So he didn't really have to jump that high to begin with. But when he did, it was lethal. Blocking shots. 23 minutes, guys. And 3 blocks. 3. And he could do them in his sleep. Robinson is just looking so much more athletic, even at this stage of his career, because his body looks a little bit more built, but built in the right way. Stocky in the right way. He looks lighter on his feet, which allows him to move a little bit better. He caught an alley-oop pass from Jalen Brunson and smashed it on the defense. That looked dominant, and he looked so lethal in the process as well. He looked lighter on his feet, but again, guys, his physique, he looks dominant, not only in his play, but in his physique. He looks ready now. The shape he's in right now, he could probably run circles around a lot of centers in the NBA. I am very, very shocked at his physique headed into the season. Because right now, what I'm seeing, Robinson is just different. Beast mode, different, dominant. He is exactly what this New York Knicks team needs. Arguably the most important player on this Knicks team currently. Not only because of his defense, but also what he does to opposing players. Because when you're going up against Robinson and he's in the paint, as an opposing player, you second guess that move. And once you do that, or you second guess that shot, it's over for you. In the NBA, you have to make decisions in split seconds. And if your timing is off, even by a millisecond, it alters everything. And Mitchell Robinson alters a lot of shots for the New York Knicks, and it's why he is so dominant. And that's something that is never going to be written about and is never going to be seen on a stat line. You're never going to see that on a box score sheet. And that's okay, because the real people watching the game know why Mitchell Robinson is so dominant, know what he brings to the New York Knicks, but also know what else he needs to do. While everything we're talking about in terms of Mitchell Robinson, his physique, and his dominance is impressive, one thing we have to note is he might be the most important Knick for this team right now. And this is according to Mike Breen when he said it on the broadcast. Shout out to New York Basketball on Twitter for reporting the following. In talking about the reasons for the Knicks' success, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, the young Knicks, Mitchell Robinson's often the last guy we speak of. But his importance to this team, Quentin Grimes said it during training camp. He's probably the most important player on the team. Defensively, that is absolutely 1000% true. Absolutely. Maybe overall and generally, he might be the most important player for the New York Knicks as well, too. Because if you think about it, Last year, one of the main reasons the New York Knicks went to the playoffs was because they cleaned up the glass almost better than any team in the NBA. And one of the main reasons for that was Mitchell Robinson, who led the NBA in offensive rebounds. Led the NBA. That's why we have to remember how dominant and important Robinson is. It's likely Mike Breen is correct and Grimes is correct here. He probably is the most important New York Knicks player on the team right now, just in terms of what he brings to the entire team. But I'm not going to go crazy here and say that he's a finished or final product, because as everybody knows, and I'll continue to say it, Mitchell Robinson on offense is still limited, and we need to see him get better at that. His trainer said in an Instagram post that Mitchell Robinson has gotten better to back to the basket moves. I haven't seen it, and I would like to see it, because if it's good enough, I want to see it implemented in an actual NBA game, because we need Robinson more on the offensive end. If Robinson can even give us maybe a couple of more offensive plays each and every game, he would be one of the best centers in the league. That's how good and dominant he is on the defensive end. We got to remember that with Robinson. But let's also talk about something with Mitchell Robinson, because I also think it's an important accolade for him. Well, maybe not an accolade, but at least something important to talk about. ESPN recently did a ranking, a top 100 list, and Robinson actually made the list. And if you want to know where he ranked, top 100. 100. Exactly 100. He was on the list, but he was last on the list. And maybe that's for good reason, but actually he was on the list before, and he was basically 98 on the list, I believe. So he dropped 2 spots to the last position on this list for ESPN. Now, some people may not care about it. A lot of people think when ESPN or even Bleacher Report or Hoops Hype or all of these outlets do these lists, it's really for clicks and nothing else. And maybe that's true to an extent. However, when ESPN drops their list, they also give a little bit of an explanation of why they did that. So let's go ahead and go to Tim Bontemps, because he gave a breakdown on Mitchell Robinson and why he even made the list in the first place. According to ESPN's Tim Bontemps, Robinson is an elite offensive rebounder, providing the Knicks with plenty of second chance opportunities. His 4.5 offensive boards per game last season were the second highest in the league, behind Memphis Grizzlies center Steven Adams. That, paired with Robinson's 67.1 field goal percentage, thanks to a plethora of dunks, makes him exactly the kind of big man Coach Tom Thibodeau looks for. That's a very important part that he ended with right there. Mitchell Robinson is the perfect big man for Tom Thibodeau. Absolutely. Why? Because he plays the classic big man role for Tom Thibodeau. Clean up the glass, put back dunks, get a lot of rebounds, block shots, run the floor. He does that. He does that to a very, very high regard. And he's gotten better and better and better at it under Tom Thibodeau. And you have to give Thibs credit at least for that. Under Tom Thibodeau, Mitchell Robinson has become an elite defender. One of the best defenders in the league, and obviously and clearly one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. Offensively, he still needs to come along. I think we all can agree to that. But even if he did, would Tom Thibodeau use him offensively, even more so in his 9-man rotation that he normally implements? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he might run maybe a play or two for him. Maybe that's at most what he'd get. But is that enough? Would that be enough to satisfy Mitchell Robinson? I don't know. I don't think so. If I was a big man who had more offensive gifts and I wanted to showcase them, and I couldn't, or I was being held back from doing that, I might feel a certain type of way. And we remember seeing Mitchell Robinson say time and time again that he wants to be more involved in the offense. And I don't think he meant just in terms of pick and rolls or lobs. I think he wants the ball in his hands a little bit more and play back to the basket. At least that's what his trainer said. And if he was working on that with his trainer, that means he wants to show it in an NBA game at some point in time. So I hope Tom Thibodeau was watching, listening, And I hope that's what we're seeing in practice. We haven't seen it in any preseason game yet. Maybe the next one against Minnesota this Sunday, we might see it. But as of right now, I don't know. But shout out to Mitchell Robinson for making this ESPN list. Even though he made the last of the list, he still made the list. Other players could have beaten him on the list, but I'm happy that he did. And it does mean something that a New York Knicks player makes an ESPN list, because notoriously, Knicks players are often left off the list completely, not even making it at all. Mitchell Robinson is in dominant shape, dominant form. It gets me even more excited for the season. We're almost there. October 25th, guys. Boston versus New York for the opener, and I cannot wait to see what the New York Knicks do. But let me know your comments. What do you think about Mitchell Robinson? Do you think he's in as dominant form and shape as I do, or do you think he still has a lot to work on? Let me know in the comments, because honestly, guys, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. If you like what you saw, please go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace. Oh, and special announcement, by the way. I have a very special guest joining me tonight live on YouTube at 8:30 p.m. from Bleacher Report. NBA writer and insider, Greg Schwartz. That's going to do it for this episode. Peace, and see you later.